Stand up. Right now, if you can. That thing you just did? No other mammal on this planet does it the way you do, and your body has never forgiven you for it. Your spine was not designed to be a column. It was designed to be a bridge. Horizontal. Weight hanging underneath it, spread evenly across four legs. That design worked for hundreds of millions of years. It was flawless. Then, around 4 million years ago, we tipped it upright and started using a bridge as a column. Nobody redesigned it. There was no recall. Evolution doesn't do recalls, it does patches. And the patch was a curve. One S-shaped bend, wedged into the lower back, to keep your skull stacked over your hips. That curve is why you can walk. It's also why your back is going to hurt. Low back pain is the single leading cause of disability on Earth. Not heart disease, not cancer, back pain. Roughly 600 million people are living with it right now, and that number is climbing toward 850 million by 2050. There is no other species with this problem. No wild chimpanzee has ever needed a lumbar fusion. No horse has ever thrown out a disc lifting a suitcase. This is not a disease. Diseases have causes you can remove. This is a structural liability, the running cost of a decision made by an ape 4 million years ago that you inherited and cannot return. So let's do this properly. Let's look at the original design. Let's find the exact moment it was violated. And let's look at the patch, because the patch is the most interesting part of your body, and nobody ever told you it was there. Picture a suspension bridge, 2 towers at either end, a long cable running between them, and everything heavy, the deck, the traffic, the load, hanging underneath the cable, pulling down on it. That is a 4-legged spine. Shoulders and hips are the towers, the spine is the cable, and the guts, the liver, the stomach, 40 feet of intestine, hang below it, suspended, distributing their weight along the whole span. It is an extraordinarily good design. It is why a horse can gallop with a rider on its back. It is why a chimpanzee can hang, climb, and knuckle walk without ever thinking about its lower back. And critically, in that layout, no single vertebra is asked to carry very much. The load is shared. Now take that bridge, stand it on one end. Everything that was hanging is now stacking. The whole tower of your organs, your rib cage, your shoulders, your head, all of it pressing straight down through one narrow stack of bones into a base that was never load-bearing. The bottom of that stack is your lumbar spine. 5 vertebrae. That's the entire foundation. We know almost exactly when this happened because they left footprints. In Tanzania, at a site called Laetoli, a volcano dusted the landscape with fine ash. Rain fell. The ash turned to something like wet cement. 3 individuals walked across it. Then it set. Those tracks are 3.6 million years old, and when you look at them, you see something that stops you. There is no knuckle print, no hand, just feet, with an arch, with a heel strike, with a big toe pointing forward instead of out to the side. There is a stride. There is a gait. Somebody walked across that ash, upright, before the invention of stone tools, before fire, before language. And they walked the way you walked to the fridge this morning. That is the moment. That is when the bridge stood up. Now, this was not a mistake. This is the part people get wrong. Standing up bought us an enormous amount. Walking on 2 legs is cheap. Researchers put chimpanzees on treadmills and measured their oxygen consumption against humans doing the same distance. Human walking came in around 75% cheaper. Same distance, a quarter of the fuel. That efficiency is the reason your ancestors could cover 30 kilometers in a day. It is the reason we spread out of Africa and colonized every landmass on this planet. A cheap gait is a passport. Standing also freed the hands. Everything you value, every tool, every weapon, every instrument, everything you have ever built, is downstream of an animal that no longer needed its front limbs to move. So we didn't get a bad deal. We got a deal. The upright body is a trade, and on balance we won it. But every trade has a bill, and the bill came due in the lower back. Here's what evolution actually did, and it's genuinely clever. If you stack a straight column of bone on top of your hips, your head ends up in front of your center of gravity. You fall forward. To stay upright, you'd have to brace, constantly, forever, with muscle. So the fix was to bend the column backward, right at the base, a wedge. Take the lumbar vertebrae and shave them slightly, front to back, so they're thicker at the front than the back. Stack a few of those and the spine curves inward, and your head slides back over your hips. Balanced, stable, free. This is called lumbar lordosis, and it is the signature of a human spine. A chimpanzee doesn't have it. No other primate does. And here's the detail that convinced me this was worth an episode. Women have more of it. Researchers found that human females have 3 wedged lumbar vertebrae. Males have 2. The reason is pregnancy. When you add a heavy load to the front of an upright body, the center of gravity lurches forward, and a body that falls forward while pregnant is a body that dies. So the female lumbar spine evolved an extra wedge, plus reinforced joints, to lean the load back over the hips. That is not a design. That is a workaround, shipped under deadline, and then patched again. Now put weight through it. Between every pair of vertebrae is a disc. It's not a cushion, it's a pressure vessel. A tough, fibrous ring, wound in layers, containing a core with the consistency of crab meat. It works by being squeezed. Compress it and it pushes back. But you are compressing it all day. Standing. Sitting. Sitting is not rest for a disc. Lifting. Carrying. All of it presses down through that curve at the base, where the column bends, where the load doesn't travel in a straight line but has to turn a corner. Squeeze a pressure vessel long enough, at an angle, and the wall fails somewhere. The core pushes out through the ring. It presses on a nerve root, and a man who has lifted nothing heavier than a laundry basket suddenly cannot feel his own foot. Here's the proof that this is about shape, not bad luck. Researchers compared the vertebrae of people who'd suffered a specific kind of disc damage with those who hadn't, and then compared both against chimpanzee vertebrae. The damaged human spines were shaped more like the chimps, slightly more ancestral, slightly less far along in the redesign. Read that again. The people whose backs fail are, on average, the people whose spines are closest to the original blueprint. Your back pain isn't a malfunction, it's a version number. And I know what you're thinking. 4 million years is a long time. Why hasn't evolution fixed it? Because evolution is not an engineer. Evolution is an editor, and a lazy one, and it only reads the first half of the manuscript. Selection doesn't care whether you are comfortable, it cares whether you reproduce. And a back that holds together beautifully until you're 35, then starts to fail, that back has already done its job. Your children are born, the gene is through. Everything after that is somebody else's problem. This is the ugly logic behind almost every flaw in your body. You are not built for a long life. You are built for a long enough life. Those are very different specifications, and you are living in the gap between them. Here is something you can test tonight. You are taller in the morning than you are right now. Roughly a centimeter, sometimes 2. It's the discs. Over the course of a day, gravity presses the water out of them, and your whole column settles. Lie down for 8 hours and they drink it back. Astronauts, in orbit, with nothing pressing down at all, grow several centimeters in a matter of days. Their spines simply unfold. And when they come back, they hurt, because a spine that has forgotten how to be compressed is a spine that has to relearn it. Think about what that means. Every night, for your entire life, your body is quietly reversing the damage of standing up. And every morning, you undo it. That is the deal. That is what you signed. 4 million years ago, an animal in a Tanzanian ash field stood upright and traded a spine that worked for a body that could carry things and cover ground and build. We got the hands. We got the world. We just never got a better back. You are not broken. You are unfinished.